Hi, my name is Samantha Barron, Certified Fitness Trainer and Sports Nutritionist with ISSA. Today I'm working on the final exam for my Strength and Conditioning certification. My athlete here is Ron Tobin, 5th degree black belt and competitive sports martial artist in both form and point sparring. We're working here in the studio today because regardless of whether or not I can train with Ron, I want him to be able to take the workout that I have in place and be able to train on his own. We're also working here in the school because the floor is a little bit different. It's the same floor that he has when he's competing. It does work the foot muscles a little bit differently, and it's just good to train on the same surface that you'll be competing on. So there will be portions of the training today where he has shoes on and portions of the training where he has his shoes off so that we can work some of the foot muscles that he needs when he is competing. We're going to start our session with a warm-up exercise here. So I'm going to have Ron get into a squat position. So feet are going to be slightly wider than shoulders. Turned out, make sure the knees are tracking over the feet. He's going to come up from that squat. I want him to extend the body over, crossing. Make sure that he twists on that back leg, coming back to center, going back into squat position, coming back up on the other side, twisting and extending to the right. We're doing this particular exercise. He's going to come back. He'll do this about 5 times, nice and slow, getting the legs warmed up. We want to make sure that he's warming up the back muscles here. He's doing some isometric contractions in the back, in the pecs, and in the arm muscles. Also, if you'll notice that he's twisting on his feet when he does the rotation here and extends the punch. I'm having him do this because it is part of what he does when he's competing as far as throwing punches. He rotates when he throws kicks. He's going to speed up now a little bit. So we're using some neural pathways here, resembling what it looks like when he's fighting, when he's kicking, extending the arms. He's making sure that he's keeping his wrist, elbow, and shoulder in alignment as he extends those punches, paying close attention to the core being pulled in tight. The back muscles are getting warmed up here, as well as the glutes, hamstrings, and in that full twisting motion, a little bit of calf contraction at the very end. For our gym exercise, we're going to use a multi-joint, multi-muscle exercise here so that Ron can get the most out of a single movement. We're going to start with his feet shoulder width distance apart. His core is pulled in nice and tight. I'm going to have him step forward with his right leg into a lunge position. He wants to extend the leg until the thigh is parallel to the floor. Knee is at a 90 degree, back leg is bent, and from here, he's going to do a curl, release, and step back out of the lunge. Again, he's going to step forward with the left leg, curl, and release, and step back. He'll continue to do this, keeping a couple things in mind. I want to make sure that his back is nice and straight. His head is stacked over the shoulders so that the back isn't in any kind of misalignment here. When he starts his curl position, his arms are going to be fully extended, squeezing until the weights meet the shoulders, and then stepping back out of it. We do this so that the bicep can get the full lengthening and contraction of the muscles. For the leg portion of it, we want to be extra careful to make sure that his knee is tracking over the ankle and that his hips are in alignment for this particular lunge. I've chosen this exercise for a couple different reasons. First, Ron has to have great leg muscle mass and speed. He uses his muscles for all of his explosive movements when he's fighting and when he's doing form. This particular exercise also mimics the front stance that he would use when he is doing what we would call classical karate. As far as the arm portion of it, he needs to be able to extend and contract the muscles to throw punches, both jabs and backhand techniques, making sure that the bicep and the tricep are engaged in the entire lift. When Ron is performing this particular lunge, he's going to keep his hips square. He's going to step out far enough that he can have a 90-degree bend in the front leg and in the back leg. He wants to make sure that the knee is tracking in alignment with the toes and that he brings his feet back to a neutral position. His spine is going to stay upright. His core is going to be engaged the entire time. We'll take a closer look here of what Ron's arms will do when he steps into his lunge position. So he's gonna hammer curl. His palms are gonna stay curled in the entire time. He's gonna use nice control when he brings it up, flexing that bicep, bringing the weight all the way to his shoulder, and extending, keeping the tricep engaged for full release. Notice we don't wanna hyperextend the elbow here so he doesn't push his hands back. He just brings them down to a nice neutral position. There's no swinging of the back. Again, the core is engaged, back is nice and straight. For his foot speed, we're gonna use an agility ladder here. I'm gonna have him start with doing in and out, so he's gonna step in and back out as quickly as he can. Back and forth, good. Now we wanna make sure that we do this in both directions, because when Ron is fighting, he has to quickly change directions to maneuver in and out from his opponent. So sometimes he has to move forwards and backwards, sometimes he has to move laterally, in and out. When we do this drill, during his training, we would have him go for 2 minutes straight. And the reason that I would do that is that Ron's fights are 2 minutes, so we want to build up some lung capacity here. We would do this in bursts, having him move back and forth so that both sides of the body are utilized equally in this particular drill. To give you a closer look at what Ron is doing during his 2-minute session here, the first exercise that he's doing is in and out. So he's leading with his left side, moving his feet in and out of the squares as quickly as he possibly can. Of course, he wants to switch directions and do this on both sides so that the body gets accustomed to doing equal work on equal sides. The second exercise that he's doing is the 1-foot hop. So he's staying on the ball of the foot, he's keeping the one leg up, so he's creating an isometric contraction in the leg that's in the air, the leg that's doing the work on the bottom, he's on the ball of the foot, legs are engaged the entire time. The third exercise, he's gonna do 2 jumps forward, 1 jump back, paying attention to where the feet are, staying on the balls of the feet, keeping the core pulled in tight, working the body again in both directions, because when he fights, he has to be able to quickly change directions and speed in reaction to his opponent's movements. During his 2 minutes of this drill, we would have him switch periodically to do different exercises. So the next one he's gonna do, he's gonna focus on just 1 foot speed. So the reason this is important is that when he's fighting, a lot of times he's on 1 foot. He may be having a leg pumping at his opponent, so he wants to come down and back. We're using the calf muscles here, hamstrings and glutes. He would switch and do this on the other leg. Again, the reason that one-legged exercises are important for Ron is that he does spend a large amount of his time when he's fighting on one leg, whether that's moving in for a kick, whether he is actually picking up in the kicking process, or he's faking or feinting. He has to have quick foot movement on 1 foot and be able to move in and out at all times. The next exercise that I'd have him do within that 2-minute drill would be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. He's gonna keep his side forward. He's gonna keep his hands up like they would be in fighting position. So we're just using small muscle movements here. He's gonna move down 2, he's gonna shuffle back 1. This is very similar to the movement that he would use when he is fighting. He wants to be able to move into his opponent and back out as quickly as he possibly can. He's gonna keep his hands up the entire time, just so that we can keep that muscle memory in place, so that when he is actually fighting, his hands are in the correct position. He's up on the balls of his feet, which is where he would be during a fight. He wouldn't want to have his feet flat on the floor. So in this particular movement, he's using his calf muscles, he's using his hamstrings and his quads. And of course, his core is pulled in tight the entire time, so that if he did get a return strike, he would have, his abs would be contracted, lessening the impact of his opponent's strike. For his hand speed exercise, we're gonna work some plyometric push-ups here. So he's gonna start with his hands together in diamond formation. And as he does the push-ups, he's gonna move his hands in and out. Again, we're using the speed ladder here, just so he has a frame of reference of how far his hands are moving. So from here, he's gonna come down and back up. Good. He'll continue to do this. In his actual plan, we would do these in sets of 3 with 10 repetitions each. We're using this particular exercise because when Ron fights, he does have to have a lot of hand speed in order to throw strikes. However, when he does form, he has to have very precise hand placement, which requires a lot of muscle memory. He's now going to switch and he's going to move his hands in and out, so in forward and backwards motion. Again, we want to make sure that he's using the full expansion of his pectoral muscles here. His back muscles are engaged. His core is pulled in tight, so even though we're not using an actual core exercise, we're going to incorporate the core into this, keeping the back in a neutral position, so we don't want to have any arching or rounding here. And his hands are going to move back and forth in and out of the ladder, creating dynamic movement and plyo push-ups. While Ron is doing his plyometric push-ups, he wants to pay specific attention to the hand placement, moving the hands in and out as quickly as he possibly can. After 10 of those, he would switch, move the hands from one square to the other, moving forward and backwards. Again, keeping the core engaged, the back engaged, and the pec muscles working here. For Ron's agility portion of his training, we've replaced the cones with karate pads because, again, I want him to be able to use what he has here in the studio. He's going to do some zigzag training here, back and forth, in and out of the pads. Go ahead. So this particular motion helps train Ron for fighting. So when he's fighting, he has to be able to move forward and backwards and side to side to not only set up strikes, but to elude his opponent. He's keeping his hands in place just where they would be when he's fighting. He's using fast feet here, core, and his leg muscles. When we would have this in his training, he would again do this particular drill for 2 minutes straight to mimic the amount of time that he has when he's fighting. In martial arts, leg power and speed and quick takeoff are extremely important. For Ron's plyometric exercise, we're going to have him do box jumps. In general, this is a fairly intense exercise and shouldn't be started with a beginner, but Ron has been doing martial arts his entire life, so I'm going to have him start in a squat position. He's going to jump up onto the box, land in a squat position, and then jump backwards. I am going to have him do the dismount of the box with jumping because, again, when he is fighting, he has to be able to move quickly in both forward and backward directions. So instead of a step down, he's going to jump off, hold for just a split second, regain his momentum, and jump back up onto the box. When we're doing this in his actual training program, I would have him do these in 3 sets of 10, working the lungs, using that explosive movement. For Ron's cool down, he's simply going to step forward. He's going to pull the knee up tight into the core here, extend back down. He's going to keep this motion going, using his core, his hip flexors, creating a little bit of a dynamic stretch in that glute muscle and the hamstrings down the IT band. Again, we're using the balancing here because he spends a lot of time standing on one leg. We want to use the core muscles, keeping the back in a nice neutral position. Notice when Ron is doing this exercise, he's keeping his spine in a nice neutral position. He's pulling the knee up nice and high, using the hip flexors, doing a core contraction here, extending the glute muscles and the hamstrings for a nice stretch along the leg, using the support muscles in the leg that's on the ground, using the micro muscles in the ankle and the knees, which are so important when he's working on a floor that has give like this one. For Ron's flexibility, we're going to do some very sport-specific stretching. So he's going to pick up his leg. I'm going to help him out here. He's going to rotate on his support foot so that his heel is pointing towards me. This leg is going to be extended. Once he gets in this position, this is his side kick position, his foot is flexed back, his heel is extending. I'm going to lift, and we're going to hold here. I'm going to have him push down, and I'm going to resist. We're gonna hold here for 10 seconds. Once we've done that portion of it, he's gonna release his muscles again. I'm gonna lift a little bit higher, and we're gonna hold. When we're finished with the stretch, I'm gonna make sure that his leg comes back down into a neutral position. He's gonna pull it back in, unrotate, and set his foot down. So you're gonna pick up, rotate on your support foot, extend your leg out, lift. Now we're doing this exercise or this stretch on the bar so we can take away the balancing aspect of it. He's also able to keep his hips in good form here, so we want to make sure that his ankle, knee, and hip and his head are all in appropriate alignment here. We're opening up both the top hip and the support hip for this particular stretch. His quadricep muscles are engaged in both the support leg and the kicking leg, and he's going to extend and lift.